Most people believe intelligence announces itself, that it wants to be seen, recognized, rewarded. But in the real world, the smartest people in the room are often the quietest. They don't stand out. They don't correct others. They don't try to prove anything. They blend in. And that is not an accident. In modern systems, intelligence is not just a skill, it is a risk. This matters right now because we live in an economy built on visibility. Social platforms reward loud opinions, workplaces reward confident performances, markets reward narratives, but none of those reward accuracy. The people who last, the people who compound, the people who quietly move ahead while others burn out, they don't look exceptional, they look normal. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Being visibly smart attracts friction. It attracts expectations, competition, scrutiny, and in complex systems, friction is expensive. Smart people understand something most don't. The world is not a meritocracy, it's a market. And markets don't reward brilliance, they reward positioning. Let's start with a simple idea. In any system, attention is a tax. The more attention you attract, the more energy you spend defending your position. Think about public companies. The moment a firm becomes too visible, it gets watched. Every earnings call is dissected, every move is questioned, every mistake is amplified. That pressure changes behavior. Managers stop optimizing, they start performing, and performance is not the same as results. The same dynamic exists in human systems. When you are labeled the smart one, you inherit invisible costs. You get pulled into problems you didn't agree to provide. Your mistakes are judged more harshly. Your successes are discounted as luck. So smart people do something counterintuitive. They lower their signal. They speak less. They simplify their language. They let others take credit. They don't advertise their thinking. Not because they lack confidence, but because they understand incentives. In economics, there's a principle called adverse selection. It explains why the people most eager to signal quality are often the lowest quality. Used car markets, online courses, social media experts, the loudest voices are usually compensating. Real value doesn't need to shout. Now look at corporate hierarchies. Who rises fastest? Not the most intelligent, the most agreeable. Not the most capable, the most predictable. Organizations don't optimize for brilliance, they optimize for stability. A brilliant employee introduces variance. Variance introduces risk. Risk threatens the structure, so the system selects for people who fit. Smart people see this early. They realize that being visibly exceptional makes you harder to place. You become a question mark, and systems hate question marks. So they sand down their edges. They dress like everyone else. They talk like everyone else. They operate inside the bandwidth of the group because fitting in creates access, and access creates leverage. Now let's talk about money. The highest earners in most industries are not the most intelligent. They are the ones closest to distribution, sales, management, ownership. The person who builds the algorithm rarely controls it. The person who markets it does. This is not unfair, it's structural. Intelligence creates tools. Power controls channels. Smart people understand this, so they don't compete on intelligence, they compete on positioning. They don't try to be impressive, they try to be indispensable, and that requires blending in long enough to understand the map. Here's where it gets subtle. In high-trust environments, signaling intelligence can actually reduce trust. People become defensive, they feel threatened, they stop sharing information, and information is the real asset. The smartest people know that appearing normal makes others underestimate you. Underestimation creates optionality. It gives you room to move. If no one is watching you, you can experiment. If no one expects you to lead, you can observe. If no one thinks you're dangerous, you can position. This is why intelligence networks operate quietly. Think of venture capital. The best investors don't tweet market predictions. They don't argue online. They don't debate trends. They listen. They meet privately. They place bets silently. Visibility creates noise. Noise distorts judgment. And judgment is everything. Now let's talk about the illusion of genius. Modern culture celebrates outliers, prodigies, founders, disruptors, but survivorship bias hides the graveyard. For every visible genius, there are thousands who failed loudly. Being exceptional increases volatility, and volatility is dangerous unless you control downside. Smart people don't chase spotlight. They build buffers. They accumulate skills quietly. They compound relationships. They build optionality. And when the moment arrives, they step forward, not before, because timing is part of intelligence. Now zoom out. In a world that rewards noise, silence is leverage. In a world that rewards speed, patience is power. In a world that rewards image, substance wins long term. Pretending to be normal is not hiding, it's waiting. Waiting for alignment, waiting for advantage, waiting for the right asymmetry. Because the real game is not being seen, it's being positioned. And the people who understand that rarely look remarkable. They look ordinary until they move. So here's the question. In your world, in your work, in your market, is intelligence something you're trying to display or something you're quietly using to build leverage while no one is watching?